So, it might look a little different, and yeah, we're at my home shop. I'm not going to show you around though, because this is my home shop. This is not a woodworking class. So this video I'm going to attempt to make extremely brief, but I am going to show you how I make the body of the lap steel guitar. What I've made is a series of templates here, which I'll show you. How I made them, I put them in slides as I made them, and they'll come up in the video in a minute. And just with a saber saw and sanding sticks. This is 1/2" MDF, and I printed out 1:1 scale paper, and I spray adhesive on there, and then cut it out. And what's critical is these center lines. These center lines on these templates, they're very light. I don't know if you can see them. They're what keep everything aligned and centered to the material, along with these dowel pins. These dowel pins slip in these holes. This is how I register the parts on the material, which you'll see in the upcoming shots. And that's how that's done. What we're going to use for material, however, so this is the inside of the, look at the drawing that you got, and you can see this is the inside. This is the really deep pocket. Then it's followed by this template. And if I take one of these pins, and there we go, line up the center lines, you can see that lines up well. That's where the top plate goes in, and then this is the outside shape. So if I cover this up, right, you won't be able to see anything because that's the outside shape. All right, that's the way I'm going to do this is on a router table, and I'll show you that as we go. The material that we're going to use is very non-traditional. The material here is Douglas fir. It's from my house. Briefly, months ago, I mentioned that I'm working on my house. So anyway, this is real 2x4s, well, almost. They're 3 3/4 by 2. Instead of your 1.5 by 3.5 2x4s. These are Douglas fir. They're over 100 years old, and we're going to use these. And so what I need to do is our rough sawn is I'm going to need to use what's called a joiner, and my table saw and a planer, which you'll see. And we got to true these up and glue them up so they fit. So this, I think, will be the centerpiece. And it will go something. Is this the center? No, this is the centerpiece. This short one right here. Yep, knots and screw holes and all. Yep. So that's the centerpiece, and then we'll glue it up, and we'll put 3 of them together. Yeah. Glue up 3, and that will make up our body. Okay. So that's the plan. And okay, so this machine is called a joiner. Like I keep saying, this is not a woodworking class, so I'm not going to get into how it really works. But its purpose is to make a board flat. All right, you can make it square if it's like the corner square on the fence here, but it needs to be set up really good for that. My joiner is set up really good for that, but I'm just going to make this surface here flat, okay? That is all I'm going to, actually it's going to be this surface. I'm just going to make this surface flat, alright? And there are some blades in here. Show you. And they, here, okay, see those blades in there? And, okay, whoop, there we go. There's some blades and they rotate clockwise. This bag, there we go. This is called the in-feed table and this is the out-feed table. And I'm not even going to ride it up on the fence. All I'm going to do is make this surface flat. Alright, so this machine is called a planer. And the joiner and the planer, they're kind of like a team. It's really important with a planer. What the planer does is you put your board through and it planes, just like the joiner, except kind of the exact opposite. What's cool about it, though, is that it has rollers in there and it pulls your work through. And what it's going to do is make this these two planes, like the board, actually like one very true on the top to this surface to this surface, not the sides, just this and this. Okay. What a lot of people don't understand about the planer is that it follows whatever profile you have here. So if this was wavy, when you put the board through, the top is going to come out a mirrored pattern of that. All right. So the that's what I mean. You gotta hit this with the joiner first, and that makes this flat. So when you put this through the planer, it's gonna follow that profile. All right. I have all three boards here because as I go, I'm going to do each one consecutively. Okay. It's super loud, and so I'll probably go to mute, all right, on this one. All right. This is how I'm going to lay this out, nail holes and all. Yep. And what I need to do is, I'm real close on this not fitting, but that's okay. I have a plan too for that. What I want to do is I don't want to lose my configuration. So we can look at the grain here. See that? Okay, that's not perfect. That's not ideal, but it'll work. And what I'm going to do is what woodworkers use is to keep this, instead of using a pencil, is a piece of chalk. Now the reason why we don't use a pencil is because the pencil dents the wood. You know, like when you did your homework on the dining room table. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I got the joiner set up for a really tiny cut, like half of a 64th. And what I want is to I want to glue these together, right? Yeah, I'm gonna glue them up. So we're gonna glue this up here. Couple things real quick. The metal from the bar clamps, or excuse me, pipe clamps, the black transfers into the glue and then soaks into the material. So to the wood. So a good trick is to get some masking tape, and what I do too much, is I put some masking tape on my bar clamp where the seams are going to be. That protects, protects the metal. You can see I got masking tape all over the place from all the other times I've glued up. So do that, and other thing here is that the pipe clamps, the clamping portion, will dent the wood. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some what they're called cauls, and they keep it right from crushing my material. So I'm going to bring this up close. And we got tape there. Okay. So quick talk about glue. I use Titebond. No, I don't want to like add for it or anything, but it's the best. I don't use Elmer's carpenter glue. I use Titebond. This is the original Titebond. So for indoor use, not necessarily furniture, but indoor uses, specifically like musical instruments, this is the one to use. There is Titebond 2 and 3. This is Titebond 3. This is waterproof. It dries a lot harder than the original. So when you go to sand, you end up having a little bump where your seams are because the glue doesn't sand like the wood does. This is still harder than the wood, but it sands a little easier. Okay, this Titebond 3 is great stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't sand as well as Titebond 1. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue these up. Contrary to popular belief, you do not need to put glue on both surfaces. One's fine. You might also notice that I'm using my pinky as a spreader. Why am I using my pinky as a spreader? I use my pinky as a spreader because if things go south on me in the middle of a glue up, I have my my finger's ready and this guy hangs out of the way. Yeah, that's why. So that's about all you need. Don't worry about the squeeze out, we'll get that. Alright, so I took this out of clamps, and it's last night, it's the next day. I worked all day, so it's nighttime now. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through the planer, and I'm just going to shave off a little bit. And I know you can't see this, but 173 174 1.740. I'm going to leave it a little heavy. The finished dimension is 1.625. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to shave off with the planer just a little bit, and give myself material to remove for sanding when all the routing is completed. So that's what I'm going to do now. We're going to see some nail holes come through, and don't worry, that's going to be just fine. The nail holes are in this area, and that's all going to be routed away anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll see if we'll establish a center line, and we'll put in our dowel pin locators, which I'll talk more about in a moment. All right, so let's plane this. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, this looks pretty good. We've just planed it. Looking at the seams, yeah, they're pretty good. They could be a little bit better. That's okay. And I left myself a substantial amount. I'm at 655, so I left myself 30 thousandths because I want to be able to sand it when we're completely done routing everything. So I'm going to find a center line, and this is the top. Don't worry about the nail holes. They're going to be gone, I hope. And so let's go ahead and we're going to find this center line here. So I'm going to work off of the 30-second scale. So 312. So it's 3 inches and 12 30-seconds. So what I'll do is 1.5 plus 6, right? So what's 16 plus 6? So it's 2, 4, 6. So there's 122. I'll just put a little tick here. And now this wood is soft. So if I come barreling in with my pencil, I'm going to put a very big dent in my material with the pencil, and I don't want to do that. So really lightly line up these ticks, drew those. I'm gonna come in and just really lightly draw the center in, and hopefully it will stay throughout our manufacturing process, because I'm going to clamp this to my bench, and you will see really what I'm up to in a minute here. Okay. 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 I can't stress enough how critical this step is. Blake. Okay. There we go. Just lock this down here. Okay. We got. All right. What I've made is this dowel pin, and I put a point on it. So it's going to slide right in here, I hope. Yeah. So now that drops in there. I'm just going to tap on that, and that is going to give me my point where the center of this hole is. Okay. Now, what we can do is take this, actually, let's make sure we're good. We can take this off, lay this aside, and you can see that it gave me little indentations where that is. And I'm going to use my calipers, and I'm going to flag off how deep I want to go. Like I said, it doesn't need to be exact. And we're going to go over to the drill press and see. Yeah, that's about 700 thousandths. And put this in the drill press. Unlike you've seen me in the past, auto center. Well, this is like a saw, so it's not going to auto center. I have to line this up by eye, and that's what I'm gonna do. And I take my time, and you know, I gotta tell you, that's part of the reason why some of this stuff is easier for me to do at home. So that's running pretty good. There's something about the light at school. I don't know what it is. And it's the quietness about being at home. That looks like it. So I'm going to go ahead and run that. Okay. Down to the tape, the reamer that you just saw. I'm gonna put that in here. I'm so used to the. Okay. And this will auto center. See that? Okay. There's some run out there. That's okay. It'll find its home. All right. Let's check that with the dowel pin. Okay. Yeah. Let's check out this one. Alright, so let's check this out and let's see how it picks. Let's see what this looks like. So when I put this on my, there we go. Now we're on. Okay, we are on. So then I can use that dowel pin, and then I would transfer to this template, and we are on the money. Okay, so then that one lines up. All right, and now the outside. This hole's still a little tight. I'm gonna hand ream it some more. Oh yeah. Just barely anything. Okay. There we go. That's much better. And line this one up and see how that, boom. So we got it. Okay, so all three of our templates now line up on center to our center line. Yeah, I cut it pretty close over there, but we're good. So this is ready for routing. All right, so I think you're going to be able to see this okay. So I've got, I'm going to put that, I'm going to route out the inside of the body. I'm going to use the templates, and this locating pin has turned out to be quite a good trick. I'm going to do that as much as I can from now on. All right, and so let's put this on here. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go over to the drill press, and I'm going to use a Forstner bit, which you'll see in a moment, and I'm going to remove most of this material with the drill press and a Forstner bit. And I'm lining up that that center line right here. It's pivoting off of the dowel pin, right? See that? Pivots off the dowel pin. And I line up the center line. There we go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil here and trace the template onto the material. So this is what's called a Forstner bit. All right, this one's pretty dull. This is a 3/4 and this is a 1 inch, and it's okay. And what I've done is I set up my depth stop over on the handle, and I drew a line where I want it to stop, and I set up my depth stop so right when I turn the handle, it stops. I'll show you that later, but I will show you that. And so I don't want to remove the router. The router is gonna take me to the line off of the templates. But so all I'm really trying to do is just remove a lot of material. So here we go. I can get a little closer than that, I think. See how this goes. Okay, and I'm just going to keep going. Alright, so I went around the perimeter, inside perimeter, with the 3/4 inch Forstner bit. I put the 1" in, and yeah, that's it. That's great. So there we go. This ball bearing that's around this router bit, okay, is the same diameter as the cutters, and it follows, that ball bearing follows the template, okay? That's how I get the, okay? And I was thinking I was just going to put it upside down and do it, but then I realized that years ago I had made this huge base for my router out of aluminum. This is the base that comes with the router. Obviously, you know, there's no way to support it, you know, in the middle. And I said, I wonder if that'll work. And it looks like it's gonna work pretty well. Okay. But what I want to do, because that base is aluminum, not plastic, like it probably should be, because I go over the top sometimes. Probably should have made it out of plastic. I'm gonna put some paste wax on here. This is also probably not the best idea, because if we were gluing stuff, this would, maybe not, but it might get in the way. And I'm just gonna put a little paste wax, and I'm just gonna rub this around a little bit here on my template. And what it's going to do is help make this surface slippery. And then wipe the excess off. But all I did, it just screws, you know, it just screws right. And so I copied the screw pattern and made myself a base. Don't worry about these holes. That's something I was trying. And so that's the plan. And get this out of here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fasten this template, right, to the material with some screws. And what I've got here is a drill bit with a countersink kind of like built in. All right, so just there's the drill, and there's the countersink, and it just slides in here, and that Allen set screw secures it. And so I'm just going to match it. So the reason why I'm doing this is because it's not like this does not need to last. The screw does not need to last forever, and I want to put a pilot in because I don't want the material, the wood, to split on me. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is line up my center lines here. So that's all set. Screwdriver. And gotta make sure it is spot on. And it looks like we're pretty good. So, okay, so I'm gonna take this clamp here, and I am going to clamp this to my bench. Okay. Cord away. All right. So see that's not going anywhere. Okay. And double check everything because I only got one shot at this. Okay. And so let's put this. I'm talking. Did I lock this set screw? I think I did. Yeah, I did. So my drill, and we went over this in the beginning, so I have, my drill's a little fancier. I've got all kinds of settings, but I'm on screw, right? So I want to be on drill. I'm in 2, so it's fast, and of course I want to be in forward as well. All right, and these holes, I'm just going to use those holes. I'm not even going to. Doesn't matter. Looks good, and I got an impact driver. And I'm not going to set this all the way with the impact driver. I'm just going to get these started. This just makes it go faster. So I think I'm going to use a regular Phillips screwdriver so they don't strip out on me. Okay? Okay, so that's nice and tight. Whoa. Man, that's nice and tight, I think. The screw could break. Okay, that's it. And it's important to note that the screw head is below the surface, right? So my router will just slide right over it. At least that's the plan. Get this paper, some sandpaper. Get rid of that paper. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Okay. Yeah, that'll work nice. Let's see how it did. I'll undo this clamp. Let's see how it feels. That on. Oh yeah, and that is not going anywhere. I'm gonna put the I'm going to use this short stubby one first. So the trick with routers, you guys, is you don't want to take a big depth of cut. Of course, you want to try, just like with the end mill, you want to not. It's okay. It's a little dull. I've just been using it. That's why. You don't want to full face it. You don't want to take a big depth of cut. Okay, and I mentioned before. You guys, routers are dangerous. They just are, and so you gotta be real careful, okay? And I'm going to put this router bit in the router, so I'm going to take the router out of the. I'll move this aside for right now. Yeah, we're going to start with this one, and then we'll move on to the next one. So I want as much shank in there as possible. These things, man, they're like 15,000 RPM, and 1 horsepower, 15,000 RPM in the palm of your hand. I got that router bit in there, and I'm gonna slide. Sure that's on camera. My router in here, and I'm gonna set the depth. So let's see there, right? And you can see that bearing sticking out. And I'm gonna check it and see what that looks like. Here, let me see. So I'm a little deep. So I'm a little bit deep. Okay, I got an idea. Check this out. That scrap template material. And so you can see, right? Here's a piece of that, and I think I'm a little bit deep, so I'm just going to pull this down a little bit there, right there. Lock it in there, and yeah, that looks good right there. Oops, right there. Yeah, you can see that now. Okay, and got a. I'll start up here on this pocket up there. Okay, so I laid that in there. It's not touching anything. I'm gonna turn this on. it's real important that you turn it off and you let it stop before you take it out, because if you don't take it out straight, it can start kicking around on you. Okay. I think you can see that we're starting there. So I'm gonna put it in here now. Okay. Okay, so here we are. I got one last pass to make, and show you that. What I'm going to do is I have to adjust the depth of cut on the router. So this giant pocket, or two pockets, we want to be 1.25 inches deep. The total thickness of the material is 1 5/8, and so we want a 3/8 remaining there. So 3/8 minus 5/8 is 1.25 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and scale here. Okay, so it's going to be hard to do on camera. Oh, you know what I got to do? I got to unplug the router. Okay. So, alright. Okay. 1 3/4. Right there. Okay. Yeah. Just a smidge. Is it? Yeah, that's it. So what I'm going to do is I'll just run a little test section right in this area and make sure that everything is good. So plug the router back in. Alright, and now I'm going to be plunging into here, so I need to start the router a little bit off at an angle. Okay. Make sure we didn't bozo it, right? And it doesn't look like it. I'm gonna use my dial calipers now. So what do we got? 1.75, you know, give or take a 5/1000, give or take a hair. Not bad for doing that with a scale. All right, so I'm gonna probably shoot. I'll shoot this and I'll run a fast forward. So I'm gonna wear my ear protection, okay? And if I stop and yell at you, it's because I can't hear. Okay. Now we really need to inspect this closely. Clean my, there we go, glasses. Case. I stressed it before, but we're going off the center lines, right? So I want to transfer my center lines. It's so important. Even if I just have a little tick somewhere, I can get it back. fuzz. Okay. Got that. I'm going to try and grab this last one there. Just in case. So you might be wondering what those things are. I'm not much on gimmicks. They're called bench cookies, and they have this pad on here, and so when you push down on them, they don't work when you actually apply pressure. They stop it from your work from moving around. So I didn't have to use a clamp, and that way I got all the way around it without having to move it. Okay. I was at a woodworking store one day and said, "Oh, $5." They were on sale, because it's a gimmick, but they work really good. Okay. So put this back. Let's see here, and unscrew this template now. Okay, and there we go. So that's template number 1. Got the usual fuzz. Man, it's light. Okay, got some fuzz here, right, from the router, but that looks pretty good. What I'm gonna do, 220. This purple sandpaper, by the way, is junk. Don't buy it. It has the no skid. It ruins your tools. Yeah, why do I know? And don't buy it. I think it's at Home Depot or something, and it's junk. So then you're gonna say, what paper do I buy? Like any smart person would. And what you want to buy is this Norton, the blue or the red. This is good stuff. You can get this at a paint supply place, like what's it, Dunn Edwards. I don't see it around very much anymore. Of course, you can get it on Amazon. You guys, this is the stuff. All right, this blue or the red Norton. This stuff's junk. I'm just gonna lightly knock off the fuzz. Alright. Okay, that looks pretty good. And okay. Smells good, by the way. Just in case someday we'll be able to smell through YouTube, I think. Alright, next template. Make sure this is clean. Alright, it's pretty much the same process. And line up those center lines. Oh, I don't have I forgot to transfer those, so I'll transfer those now. Oh, that's kind of nice. This thing, man, having this pivot is so cool. Let's see here. No, I'm gonna put my head in the way. There's no way I can. Man, I've got a shadow. Put this up here. Tick right there, and a tick right there. All right. then what I'm going to do is use a square. A really tiny engineering square. More fuzz. The top, you know, we made in the CNC machine. I just covered it in blue tape to protect it from getting scratched, and then I radiused the edges by hand, okay, with sandpaper. Took me a couple hours. I'm not gonna, you know, say, oh, it was like no big deal. It took me a couple hours, and then I made sure that I tuned the template, not the top, and I made sure that I tuned that template so it fits inside with just a little bit of a wiggle. I mean, we're talking 5-10 thousandths, okay? Enough to probably help with some the finish. So the finish on the top, the oil, is going to make it bigger, okay? Not by much. And so this should just drop in this pocket that we're gonna route. Okay, so that's what I did. Thinking ahead. That's good. That's good. Alright. Yeah. Side note, check this out. This is a vintage late 60s, early 70s Pencraft screwdriver. This thing's cool. I've had it forever. I've had this tool. It was my dad's. I've had this tool, I think, since, well, he had it before I was born. I stole it from him when I was probably 15 or 16. So I've had this tool for a really, really, really long time. Okay. Okay. This out of the way. And this is going to be real simple. It's 1/8 of an inch deep. Check this really good because it's our only shot, right? I'm gonna hit that corner right there, just a little. No, I'm good. I think I'm okay. Hopefully I'm okay. I know what's happening. Okay. Now, before I forget, the router bit, because its diameter is 1/2 of an inch, doesn't fit all the way into these corners here. So I'm going to transfer template over. Turn this around. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I gotta do that by hand. I brought some stuff out. I'm just gonna show you what I'm gonna use. I'm not even going to do this on camera. An X-Acto knife with a brand new blade in it, first of all. I got a very, very sharp chisel. This is actually an 1/8 inch mortising chisel, but I have sharpened it. It's extremely sharp. It's sharper than a razor blade. Now this is a handle that I was experimenting with. Hold it like a pencil, okay? This is Japanese white steel. It's still really sharp. It needs to be touched up because I use it so much. But it's a knife, and one side of it is flat and just slightly hollow ground. And so you can I don't know if you can pick up on that on the light. That might be it right there, and you can sort of see that right here it's slightly hollow ground. And yeah, Japanese white steel. I'm experimenting with this handle. It's too bulky, but you don't even need a handle actually with these. But I was experimenting with some ideas, and I think I'm gonna trim it down, and anyway. So that's what I'm gonna do next, and I'm gonna do these by hand, and then obviously the next thing is going to be the outside perimeter template, and I'll show you that as well. Okay, so I just want you to see this fits nicely in there. Okay, and what we're going to do now is the perimeter. The game plan is to route the perimeter not all the way through, just route maybe a 1/2 inch, okay, with the bearing router bit. Could have just showed you. With the bearing router bit, and then we'll get down there, and then I can use what we already routed to ride the bearing on the router bit, okay? After I route about a 1/2 inch deep, I'll cut the rest off on the bandsaw. All right. Let's see. What else can I tell you? That's about it. Oh, geez. What I'm going to be doing here, because this is pretty tricky, is I'm going to use a technique. I'm going to use a 3-clamp technique. All right. So I'm going to line my center line up, and then I'm going to use 3 clamps, and I have to be really patient. And what I mean by that is I'll be able to route, clamp, move things around by always having 2 clamps on it. So I'll have a 3rd clamp somewhere, right? So you'll see, when I have 2 clamps on there, I'll be able to take one off and then route around that area, and then put the clamp back on, and then take a clamp off. So I'll always have 2 clamps in place, and I just call it the 3-clamp technique. All right. So here we go. Watch this. We'll remove the template. This is what we got. There's our little blowout situation. And it doesn't look bad at all. Okay. And suppose it's like a chip. So if I were to go over the fuzz, right, it's gonna throw off the plane that my router is riding on. Okay, pin's gone, and I don't care about that anymore. It's scrap. It's on here, and yeah, that's good. Alright, so what I'm going to do next, and I'm not going to do that on camera because you've seen it so many times, is I'm going to go ahead and cut this out on the bandsaw, and then I'll show you. I'm going to do the rest on the router table. Okay? Upside down. Okay. There we go. That looks pretty good. I hope that was in frame. And so like I said, I'm just going to cut this out on the bandsaw, and then I'm going to show you the router table, and we'll be done. Okay, so I cut this out on the bandsaw, and what we got here is a router table. So all it is it's a different router than what you've seen. It's a bigger router. I'm not going to take it out of the table right now. And it's just mounted onto this plate, and this plate is mounted onto the table. So it's like an upside down router, right? Except only now the router is stationary, and what we're going to do is move our material along instead of moving the router along. And same configuration. It's got a ball bearing here. This is a much bigger bit. This is a 3/4 inch bit, I think. Might be a 1-inch bit. Yeah, and this will go pretty quick. And then I'm gonna take the first cut, raise it up, and it's not gonna make it all the way. It's gonna leave like that little tiny bit there, but that'll sand right off. So let me just make sure. I think we're good. Let's do this, huh? Let me adjust the height of the table of the router bit. I'm just going to bring the router bit up as high as it'll go, and we'll get that last bit. So here we are, and we just gotta do this last bit, and that'll sand off real easy, and then sand it, and we're done. Okay, awesome. So I just wanted to show you that I have I made the neck too. I'm not going to do that on camera, but there's the neck, and it's in rough form, just like the body. Okay, and so I'm going to get everything to fit together, and I have a lot of final sanding to do, and this fits in here. After I tune it out, I tune this out with sandpaper. It'll slide in there, and I'll glue it up. And I'm going to stain it and finish it. And we'll put it together. Okay. So there's something I wanted to talk about, and real quick, and that is that somebody might be saying, "Well, why didn't you just CNC it?" And you know what? This particular project would have been perfect for that. And honestly, that's kind of why I did it too, because I wanted to show you that it doesn't need to be CNC'd, and this is how you do it manually. The wood was free, the material was free from my house. The templates cost me $10. And really all you need is a router. We could have done it without the router table. Actually, now looking at it, I probably should have. It would have been a lot cleaner, a lot less sanding to do. And probably should have done it without the router table. And so the router was, $90 or something. And, so I'm $100. I'm $100 in for this. When that includes and a router bit, and that's $15 or $20. Okay, and that's not just the materials, that's the tools too. And I'm sorry, and about $5 for maybe some sandpaper. Okay, so there you have it. It cost me. I already had the router, so it probably cost me $20. Okay, to do the whole project, in the wood part. All right, and CNC isn't always necessary. Just wanted to point that out. And there's a certain amount of real gratification you get when you make something like this by hand. Awesome.